piece of glass. Only it had borders around it. I couldn't figure out what it was to start with.
So when you're looking at the cube, can you see through it and see forest behind it?
Yes.
Was there anything in the cube?
Not that I could see.
So it was just like a glass square on four sides, 7 foot by 5 foot, with nothing inside it, and you could kind of see through it.
Right.
What'd you think when you first saw it?
I didn't know. I just kind of stared at it because it was unusual. And this guy showed up and asked me if I was hungry. Told him yeah. So this package of 4 pills drifted over to me just like it was thrown at me. I took one. Next thing I know, I was in this cubicle, but it looked a lot bigger. There's 5 elk behind me. I said, "You got my elk?" And this looked at me and shrugged. Told me what his name was, Ozo. And they were down to get food. I said, "You guys always come down?" He said, "Yeah. We come down every so often. We get elk, deer from here, and go to the ocean and get fish and take it back."
This is a drawing that Carl drew in the hospital, and the being had like a hand that was a cone, and no hand here, and his hair was like straw. And
So this is a very descriptive drawing. What are these little things?
this is kind of an apron, and it shows where the kind of where the land is in his planet.
Did Ozo seem to have a personality?
He seemed to. Like, when he talked to me, his lips never moved. I mean, it was back and forth. But he seemed like he knew a lot.
What color was his suit?
Black.
Black. The entire suit was black.
Completely black, because our sun burns them. So they have to wear black, and
The object had suddenly appeared in the sky and was hovering at low altitude, directly over one of the missile silos. Moments later, the entire group of 10 ICBMs mysteriously malfunctioned. This startling fact has been confirmed by one of the launch officers on alert that day, now retired Colonel Walter Fiegel, who spoke about the incident during a taped telephone conversation with Robert Hastings in 2008. Fiegel said that in response to the Missile Guard's UFO report, he had sent out 2 security alert teams, one of which confirmed the presence of the object.
The strike team that went out, one of the 2, claimed that they saw something over the site. How did they describe that? He just said a large round object. Directly over the LF? Directly over the site.
But Fiegel was not the only one to be told that a UFO was in the vicinity during the incident. Former Minuteman electromechanical technician Henry Barlow, who helped restart some of the stricken missiles, was informed that the mysterious aerial craft had actually caused the problem.
Job control called and said, we have a problem at Echo Flight, and 4 or 5 missiles or 6 missiles just shut down simultaneously. And we want you to go to the nearest site, penetrate the site and see what's going on. So on our way to the site, they had called and said that the other 4 missiles had shut down, so that all of them are now shut down. We had to go to Echo 1 to stay for the night there and get 8 hours of sleep before we headed back to the base. So when we got in there was hardly room to walk in there because there was so much brass, and we heard that there was a UFO spotted over Echo 2, which is the most northern site in the Echo Flight.
In 1997, missile engineer Robert Kaminsky, who headed the Boeing company team tasked with investigating the missile shutdown incident at Echo Flight, wrote to researcher Jim Klotz, saying that no prosaic cause for the failures could be found. Importantly, The retired engineer also said he had been informed that a UFO was responsible for the missile malfunctions. But the excitement was not yet over. A second ICBM shutdown incident occurred 8 days later, on March 24th, 1967, at Oscar Flight, according to former Minuteman missile launch officer Captain Robert Salas, who was on alert when it occurred. This was the event discussed by Salas at the September 2010 press conference in Washington, D.C.
Unknown aerial objects have in fact been observed over many of our nuclear weapons bases and other nuclear facilities, and in some cases the appearance of these objects coincided with compromising the operational readiness of our nuclear weapons. Although each of us might have different opinions about the meaning and intent of these incidents, I think we can all agree that the tampering with nuclear weapons is a national security concern. This is Air Force official policy on UFOs. This is dated 2005, but I believe it is current policy. I'll just read one part of it. It says, no UFO reported, investigated, and evaluated by the Air Force was ever an indication of threat to our national security. That is clearly misleading. It is false based on our testimonies.
Salas's testimony has been confirmed by former Minuteman missile targeting officer Captain Robert Jameson, who helped retarget some of the Oscar Flight ICBMs.
In March of 1967, I was on alert for dispatch. And that evening, I got a call from Job Control saying a missile going down in Oscar Flight, go out and restart it. So I had called my team together. We went down to the hangar. I was told that a UFO caused all 10 missiles in Oscar Flight to go down.
Good afternoon. My name is Dwayne Arneson. I want to give a kind of an adjunct testimony to what Bob has already spoken about. After graduating from college with degrees in physics and math, I entered the Air Force, got a commission, and served 26 years as a communication electronics officer in positions all over the world, including Vietnam. My highest clearance held was a top secret crypto special compartment information talent keyhole. For those that know clearances, you got to be almost squeaky clean to get that. Back in 1967, I was officer in charge of the communications center at the 28th Air Division in Great Falls, Montana. I was also the crypto custodian. I was a top secret control officer for the division, and I passed out nuclear launch authenticators. In March of that particular year, I can clearly recall a message coming through my communications center which basically said what Bob has already talked about, that a UFO did in fact shut down several missile silos in Montana. Not being a missile type, I didn't know Oscar Flight from Echo Flight, so I couldn't relate to any of those details. But the fact was that missiles were shut down by them. Later on, in mid-70s, about 1975, I was commander of a radar site in Maine, which was adjacent to Loring Air Force Base. Periodically, my security cop and I met with the SAC security police. And on 2 occasions that I can recall distinctly, they told us that UFOs were seen over the nuclear weapon storage areas at Loring Air Force Base, which was a SAC bomber base, as some of you may well know. I don't know what the details were. I don't know if any nukes were damaged or deactivated. I never saw a report on that, so I really can't say. That is history. After retiring from the Air Force, I went to work for Boeing as a computer systems analyst. Bob didn't mention this, but one of my first supervisors at Boeing was Robert Kaminsky. He has since passed away. He was the engineer selected by Boeing to go out and investigate the UFOs, the missiles that were shut down. He living close by where I lived in Washington State. We got together frequently on Saturday to discuss UFOs and other topics. And he says, Arnie, those things were perfectly clean, and they did not go down by themselves. He then went on to say that halfway through the investigation, the Air Force sent Boeing a message which said, stop the investigation and do not, repeat, do not send us a report. He told me that personally on 2 or 3 different occasions. And no No hesitation at all. In conclusion, I've studied UFOs for over 60 years, believe it or not, and I am convinced that somebody out there is trying to send us a message. If I knew who they were, I probably would not be here. Thanks for your time.
The government does know. They have ideas of what's going on, and it appears that there is a cabal or a government within a government. People who are keeping the lid on things, no matter how much comes out, they rigidly keep a lid on. Now, this UFO incident that I'm referring to is, I was a project engineer, and we got a report which we would help the air materiel area do some engineering on certain missile sites. They sent in a report that said, hey, we had 10 sites that went down. They were in the green, ready for launch, and then 1 second, and then a few seconds later, they were all in the red. They were not launchable. And knowing how the missile systems are put together and how they're intertied and how the redundancy network goes there, it's virtually impossible for having 10 of them go down. You can have 1, maybe 2. But all 10 and a whole flight of 10 went down, and it was called the Echo Flight up in Malmstrom Air Force Base. Long story very short, those 10 missiles disturbed the hierarchy of the Air Force. They sent us the project. They're looking to send a team out to find out what was happening and what happened. What unbeknownst to me at the time is that there was a report that there was a UFO hovering over a launch control facility. And that was the launch control facility that would control those 10 birds. And that was apparently seen by several airmen, and it was reported then. Now, at the time I got the report, I wasn't told about the involvement of UFOs. So we sent a team out. We went through all the sites, checked everything out, and there was nothing wrong. All those sites came back up online, and we could not find one thing wrong, not one. We looked at the power poles with the transformers leading into the power systems. We looked at the internal power systems, the electronics, everything, and there was nothing that we could attribute to this kind of a malfunction. So this becomes a very mysterious thing. Now, in the process of doing the investigation, we all of a sudden were shut down. We got a call from our representative in that particular air material area and says, Bob, you're going to get a stop work order. Don't do anything more, and do not write a final
You can understand me?
Language is pattern. We shape it.
Why are you here?
To share. To learn.
I'm not a threat.
We sense peace.